Molly and Jolly's Puppies by Nanny Linda. Molly the collie was sitting in her bed on the porch looking very tired and worn, and snuggled in beside her were her 6 puppies, all newly born. They had all arrived this morning when her mate Jolly was at work on the farm, herding up the sheep and lambs and protecting them from harm. Word spread far and wide that day that a litter of puppies had arrived for Molly, and all the animals were so happy for her as a first-time mum with her loving partner Jolly. The sheep were chatting about the birth, and the news was travelling throughout the flock. Some sheep were happy for Molly and Jolly, and some definitely were not. Some were concerned that more collie dogs would be chasing and nipping at their heels, and some just took it all in their stride, knowing that the dogs were just guiding them through the fields. When Jolly's morning work was done, he rushed home to Molly's side to take a peek at his new family, which filled him with such love and pride. A litter of puppies had taken Mr. and Mrs. Palmer greatly by surprise, lying in Molly's bed with her when they came down for their morning coffee just before sunrise. "What are we going to do with them all?" Mrs. Palmer said as she knelt down beside Molly's bed. The worry at the cost of feeding 8 collie dogs was spinning around in her head. Then all the Palmer children came running out onto the scene and stopped dead in their tracks when they all saw Molly giving puppies a lick and a clean. Excitedly, they all sat around to look at the sleeping pups that Molly was keeping snuggled and warm. "Where did they come from?" the young children inquired. "Did Molly find them out in the barn?" "Well," said Mr. Palmer, grinning from ear to ear, "your mother will explain everything about how the pups arrived." And Mrs. Palmer looked at him and scowled, and then she shrugged her shoulders and sighed. "We can't keep all 6 of the puppies," Mrs. Palmer tried gently explaining. "It's okay," said her husband. "They can work on the farm, and Molly and Jolly can help with their training. We can teach them how to be good dogs, and the children can help out too. They can live in the barn and come indoors sometimes, but that will be up to you." Mrs. Palmer reluctantly said, "Oh, all right then, if you think it will work out okay. They are all so rather cute, and I don't think I could sell them anyway." The children were over the moon that 6 new dogs had joined the Palmer home, which left Mrs. Palmer feeling quite worried and glum, as they were totally unaware of the work involved, which would no doubt be taken care of mostly by their mum. So it was decided, after much discussion, that the new pups that had arrived today would stay on the farm, be well trained, and each and every one of them could stay. And Mrs. Palmer made her family promise that they would all take part in the work that was to come, as there was going to be lots of jobs to do with 6 puppies, and it wasn't going to be all fun. When the puppies were 1 week old, the farmyard visitors came. The first to arrive was Mrs. McDuck and her ducklings, Primrose and James. Then Mitch the cockerel and his wife, Chicken Rosine, hopped onto the porch with Flair. "Congratulations to you both. You have your work cut out there." Molly looked over to the pen where Matilda the cow was standing, slowly munching on some hay. "I want to send my best wishes, Molly dear," she mooed. "Do bring them all to visit me one day." Desmond the donkey in the next pen said, "What is going on?" "Molly and Jolly have 6 puppies," Matilda replied, "all looking healthy, bright and strong." "New puppies?" oinked Percy and Polly Pig, who lived in the old stinky sty. "Oinky, congratulations! We'll visit with you sometime." Mr. and Mrs. Palmer's children were running around the farmyard, jumping and shouting with joy. "This is all so wonderful," they screamed with delight. "The puppies are 5 girls and 1 boy." The Palmer's family of farm cats came running out of the barn, thrilled to bits. "We have just heard! Oh, what a lovely surprise! New puppies to play with our kits." The farmyard was full of excitement at this wonderful new birth, and Molly and Jolly were besotted. For litters, this was their first. When the children were out of earshot, Mrs. Palmer whispered in Mr. Palmer's ear, "Molly and Jolly will need a trip to the vets, as we do not want litters of puppies each year." "Okay," Mr. Palmer replied. "I'll contact the vet, Mr. McGee." And then he turned to his children and said, "Choose some names for the puppies, as that will be a great help for me." So they went away and had a think, then came back with their choice. Callie, Mindy, Tilly, Jess and Jude for the girls, and the little boy to be called Royce. Molly and Jolly loved the names that the children had given to each pup, and knew that they would be loved and cared for as they were growing up. And although Mrs. Palmer was very concerned when the puppies arrived at the time, the whole family appeared so contented, even with the extra work, so everything was working out fine. So, a happy family of Palmers, happy Molly and Jolly and 6 puppy collie dogs, happy and healthy farmyard animals, even the smelly hogs.